Welcome to Bison Information Network News. I'm Alex Hart.
And I'm Hannah Schlosser. Breaking news this afternoon, NDSU men's basketball player sophomore Kyber Cabellis has announced his intention to transfer. He scored 613 points in 62 games for the Herd. Head coach David Richmond says in a press release that NDSU Athletics thanks Cabellis for his efforts on the team and that he looks forward to working with returning and incoming student athletes. There's no word yet on where Cabellis will transfer to.
In the coming weeks, the North Dakota legislature will vote for further cuts to the North Dakota University system budget. All of NDSU's distinguished professors have joined to draft a letter in response urging against this major budget cut. 5 to 10% has already been cut this past biennium, but another 20% is up for debate. The professors refer to the proposed cuts as draconic and devastating, among other things. BIN News reporter Hannah Schlosser spoke with a distinguished professor today about these changes.
Reynolds, who is an NDSU University Distinguished Professor, him along with 8 others, wrote to the state legislature inquiring about proposed budget cuts for the university system. Now, Larry, can you tell me, what are some of the short-term effects that these would have on our university system?
Well, first of all, the budget cuts for just this year, right? So this is the last year of the previous biennium. Were somewhere between 5 and 10%. So we've already seen freezing of faculty positions, so people that have left. We haven't been able to rehire people. The number that I think is correct is around 90 of those positions. This has a tremendous impact across campus in our ability to offer courses. The class sizes will increase. There will be courses we can't offer. So it has a tremendous impact.
So this budget cut is going to be across the next year or so. What are the long-term effects that this would impose?
Right. This will just continue this trend. So we'll lose faculty. We'll not only lose faculty and impact students, but if we have these budget cuts where we can't refill positions as people leave, where we don't have the support that we need to sort of keep those kind of people around, I think it's going to really have a big impact on students. That's what I'm most worried about. And, the students, this is the future, right? This is how we keep people in the state, how we keep the businesses going. I mean, we don't have enough people to fill positions in this state. And places like this are where the majority of those kind of highly educated, highly trained people come from.
I know in the letter there was many reasons that you guys proposed and why this would not be a good idea. What are some of the top key factors that you pointed out?
Right. I think for me the top factor is that NDSU in the last few years has sort of achieved the status of one of the top research universities in the U.S. And because of that, we're able to recruit top faculty, and because of that, that translates directly into the courses, into the experiences of the students. They're sort of shoulder to shoulder with some of the top faculty in the U.S. and in the world, in fact. And I think that's a super positive thing for students.
I know that this budget will kind of be agreed upon, or the bill will at least in the next month or so.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we go from here?
Right. I think we just keep trying to get the information out as best we can and try to make sure even the legislatures understand the impact, because I'm not convinced that they do. I know one of the articles that was done about our letter interviewed one of the legislators who thought that, oh well, we can restore the budget next biennium and things will be really good. But in fact, with these deep of budget cuts, you lose a lot of infrastructure. You probably lose reputation. And these are things that take years to restore and years to build back. And I'm really concerned. People just won't come here. Faculty just won't come here anymore. They'll go other places where they have more support. And that's going to have a long-term impact, we think.
Okay, well thank you,
Yep,
Dr.
you're
Reynolds,
welcome.
and thank you guys for joining us.
Every president needs his cabinet, and Bison Wenzel is no exception. Cabinet members are selected by the president and then sworn in by student court to help oversee a majority of projects that happen at NDSU. Bison Information Network News reporter Alex Hart has more on this story.
Recently elected Mason Wenzel and Katie Mestel have just selected their cabinet. Positions in the cabinet include Executive Commissioner of Finance, Executive Commissioner of Student Affairs, and Executive Commissioner of External Affairs.
Right now I'm really working on creating more resources for organizations, because right now I feel like we mostly just send them out into the world and say, you're on your own, and I want to be able to provide more instructional resources on how to be successful as an organization.
So I'm basically the keeper of relationships between the student government and the students and basically the entire community of NDSU.
This cabinet is expected to help keep some of the promises that the new president and vice president made during their campaign.
Student organizations, making sure that funding going towards them is on a need-to basis, making sure that they're getting the money that they need to help their organizations be successful, along with helping them here with their academics.
We're working to get free textbooks for students, or encourage instructors to use like the online PDF versions that are free to students, just to help reduce costs for students, because I know a lot of students will be spending around $400 per semester, which is just ridiculous. So helping to work on that.
Senate members can be found on the Senate homepage and can be contacted by using their personal NDUS email. This is Alex Hart reporting for Bison Information Network News.
Cabinet members are to be approved Sunday and sworn in the same day. Their terms will last the entirety of the next school year.
A group of students in a leadership course here at NDSU are wanting to give back to the community. Bison Information Network News reporter Abby Furchner is live outside the BIN studio with students to get the full details on this project. Abby?
Hey guys, I'm here with Jared Rust, who is just one of 6 students working with the Veteran Hospital to supply about 300 activity bags for veterans' kids. So Jared, could you just give me some background on how you guys thought about making these activity bags?
Sure. Our professor, Dr. Peterson, he was a member of the Air Force, and we were kind of inspired by his in-class story about how he dedicated his time and his life to us in a way. We were just kind of moved, and we thought it'd be nice to give back to people like him and to families such as his own. It was really rewarding that we could, put this on a personal level for him and really make his project mean something and personably to him.
Right. So how will these bags help not only the kids, but also the parents and the families that are receiving these bags?
Sure. Well, nobody really likes doctor visits, especially kids. So we thought it'd be fun to, give the kids something to do, an activity to have. And because it's a hospital, the bags are one-time use. So that in that order, we had to supply a lot more than we initially thought. So we came up with a number of 300. The VAMC was greatly happy to receive that amount, and we're just really excited that we can, help the kids have something to do when they take it home. And if that's their only toy they have, we're really happy that we can give that to them. So.
What has been the most challenging part about this project, would you say?
Sure. I'd say probably managing schedules. With 6 team members, it gets really difficult to set up times, set up meetings. We really think that the fundraisers are great, and it's hard to work towards something you don't know how much money it's going to bring you. And with the dollar amount closing in, the hardest part is just working towards that goal continuously. Regarding if something doesn't go our way or it does, we just work through it and we kind of trudge through the mud to get it there.
Right. And what is your guys' goal? Do you guys have a specific money goal you'd like to reach?
Yeah, we're trying to hit $4,000, and that's in excess of the 1,000 bare minimum requirement. So we're really proud that we could, we're closing in on the end of that goal, and so we're almost there. So, yeah, just a little bit more.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jared. It was a pleasure to have you, and we do hope you guys reach that goal. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Abby. Governor Doug Burgum signed a bill Monday night legalizing medical marijuana in North Dakota. The Compassionate Care Act passed in November with a 65% voter approval. The bill would allow nurses and doctors to recommend marijuana to those with debilitating illnesses, though the patients need a card to allow them to purchase from dispensaries.
Coming up, a look back at a historic flood and an NDSU safe sex event.
We'll have that after this week's 7-day forecast.
This week marks the 20th anniversary of a historic natural disaster that decimated the Grand Forks area. The Red River flood of 1997 caused an estimated $3.5 billion in property damage and led to the largest evacuation in the U.S. since the Civil War.
Some things in life aren't easily forgotten. For those who covered it, the 1997 Red River flood is definitely one of them.
We got in the boat, and I was live on the radio with Governor Schaefer as he saw downtown Grand Forks, and we went to residential areas. There was still smoke from the fire that burned the Grand Forks Herald building and other buildings downtown.
I hear in helicopter even today, 20 years later, I almost get flashbacks. We were kind of joking, it's almost like PTSD. It brings back these memories of what was going on.
The unexpected disaster brought its fair share of challenges to the reporter. Providing nonstop coverage left them with little time to sleep.
I would guess the biggest obstacle, or one of them, was keeping people fresh.
Sometimes we were going 24 hours a day. We learned real fast that Red Bull was a big help.
If the river were to flood again, the internet would completely change the way the flood would be covered.
The social media that we see now that we take for granted was not there. There was no Facebook, there was no Twitter or anything like that.
However, the city of Fargo has taken measures to limit potential damage future floods could cause.
Certainly we wouldn't have to do what we did in '97 as far as sandbagging and saving neighborhoods, because a lot of those neighborhoods, especially along the river, the houses are gone.
The National Weather Service reported that as of April 19th, 2017, no point along the Red River is flooding in the state of North Dakota, and the citizens of the Fargo-Moorhead area hope it stays that way. Jay Lenander reporting for Bison Information Network News.
You can visit NDSU's Fargo Flood homepage for more detail.
Tonight, Student Health Services and Healthy Herd Champions are hosting Sex in the Dark, a seminar about safe sex. The seminar will have a facilitator to take and present the questions to a panel who will answer. The panel will feature experts on safe sex and its effects and repercussions. Questions are to be focused on what safe sex is, as well as clearing up myths about safe sex.
Sex in the Dark is basically talking about safe sex practices, healthy relationships, and we're opening up to the audience to ask any questions that they have related to that matter. These questions can be submitted anonymously, so that can be either written down on the slips of paper and handed in, or we'll have a tool in which they can text in their questions.
The event will be at 8 p.m. in the Century Theater on the second floor of the Union.
And coming up after the break, a look at the United States' relationship with North Korea.
Also this week's Health Minute. Stay tuned.
The North Dakota State football team has been practicing every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday since March 22nd. Spring football concludes on Saturday with the annual Green and Gold game. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock at the Fargo Dome, and it's free admission to all spectators, and also can be seen on NBC North Dakota with pregame starting at 12:30. The Herd opened up the 2017 season on September 2nd at home against Mississippi Valley State. The Bison baseball team is red hot. They've won 7 of its last 10 games. The latest, a win over Dakota Wesleyan at Newman Outdoor Field. Right away, pick it up in the 3rd inning. Mason Perchelski gets the hit started with a single right up the middle. The Bison went down 2-0 thanks to Wesleyan's 2-run top of the 3rd. In the top of the 5th inning, Jared Nealon flies out to Ben Peterson. Peterson, who dives into the tarp and makes a nice catch to record the 2nd out at the top of the 5th inning. Tigers would lead 2-1. Here you see Landon Neubauer gone into a 4-3 double play. You don't see that very often. Now you see here a pickle. Zach Utak getting into a pickle. Elson Peter and Perchelski combined for the out. Perchelski ended up hitting the game-winning RBI double. The Bison are now 18-18. They went on to win 3-2 and host Omaha in a key 3-game series this weekend. Former North Dakota State Athletic Director Gene Taylor has been announced as the new Athletic Director at Kansas State University. The last 3 years, he's been Deputy AD at Iowa. While Taylor was the NDSU Athletic Director, the athletic budget tripled from $5 million to $15 million. During his 13-year tenure, the Herd won 3 straight FCS championships, and the basketball team made the NCAA tournament in 2009 and 2014.
So thank you guys for watching this edition of the Bison Information Network News.
Be sure to check us out on Facebook and our newly completed website, ndsubin.com.
We'll be back next week for our final newscast of the year. Have a great night and a great weekend, everyone.